Okay, so I got this question in my email from someone. I think he might even be a subscriber, I'm guessing. But this is a really interesting topic because he's talking about how a woman who he was seeing, and they were actually sleeping together, she actually pulled away after sex. Okay, so this is a very interesting topic, and it sounds as if they might have even been, seeing each other repetitively because he says here, I've been seeing this girl for a month. So I'm going to explain why this happens, and oftentimes why, even if you know, have a woman who is investing in you romantically, why this occurs. Okay, so let's put his email up. He says, "What's up, Casey? I've been seeing this girl for about a month. It's been mostly sexual, but we do vibe pretty good. I took your advice and put some distance between us after our third date." He says, "Haven't been focusing on her, but I haven't heard from her in over a week. I reached out after about 7 days, no response." He says, "Will she reach back out or is it over?" Okay, this is a really good question. So here's what you have to understand. In the modern day that we live in today, in 2024 right now is when I'm making this video or when I'm recording this video. In the day that we live in today, you have to understand this. Sex means absolutely nothing to women. Okay? Now, how things used to be, years and years ago, is when a woman invested into a man sexually, it probably meant that she had feelings for him. She was wanting this to potentially go somewhere. And on top of that, she wanted a relationship to start to form. Okay? So what would typically happen is a woman would sleep with a guy and she would want return on her investment. And in this situation that I'm referring to, it would be return on that sexual investment. Well, what would the return be? The return would be care. The return would be emotional guidance. The care would be a man who's investing into her. The care would also be maybe protecting and providing. But you have to understand this. We live in a world right now where women don't need men. Okay, so you have to look at all of the masculinity traits that men oftentimes associate masculinity with. Protecting, providing, resources. Okay, well, if women have obviously their own homes, their own cars, their own vehicles, their own food, that's like majority of all of the things that men could do that signals masculinity, women don't need from a man. So what you're going to find is that women will oftentimes invest sexually into a variety of men, and they'll sleep with a guy just because they find him attractive or they think he's hot. So I know that in your mind you think that this means something, right? You two sleeping together, but this is the cold truth that a lot of guys have to accept. We live in a day and age today where it literally means nothing to women. They don't care if they sleep with you or not, and they don't care also even if you invest into them. There's women who I have slept with and who I've even slept with repetitively that I can tell they don't care if anything more comes from it or not. When I see them, and then after that, we don't communicate a lot or talk until the next time I see them again. And oftentimes the next time I see them again, they'll come over and I can tell that even they are in the mood mainly just to sleep together. So I'm going to take this in two different avenues. The first avenue I'm going to take this down would be knowing how to play your position. Okay, so what does that mean, playing your position? Women categorize different men for different things, okay? This is the relationship guy. This is the guy who I sleep with. This is the guy who pays my bills. This is the guy who is going to take me to a 5-star restaurant. This is the guy who has a boat and a jet ski, so on weekends, I'm going to talk to him a little bit more so that way I keep getting invited out on that boat and that jet ski. Women have a guy for everything. In this situation, you were probably the guy she slept with, right? You were that appointment for her. Now, never assume that a woman is looking for anything to come of that because, like I'm telling you, we live in a day and age where it means nothing, absolutely nothing, if a woman sleeps with a guy or not. She could sleep with you and then wake up the next week or wake up the next day and say, yeah, I'm kind of over that. And this is even if the sex was good. There's no correlation. She might tell herself that she's going through something, or she might just tell herself that, it was a guy that I want to see for a couple times in a row, and that's it. So here's what I'm getting at. You have to look at what a relationship means to a woman, because women look at everything. Okay, they look at the lifestyle that you live. They look at your potential career path. They look at the life setup that you have. So when a woman decides for herself if she wants to actually date a man consistently or be in a relationship with him, she's looking at everything. Because women are very good at understanding that that's the world she's coming into. And now she's going to have to deal with all of the things that also come with you. Right? Is this the type of man where I'm going to want to invest in him and his social circle and his friend group? Is this the type of man with the mindset that I want with the career path he's headed down? All of these things matter. And this is all completely independent and irrelevant to if you guys slept together or not. So like I said, I'm going to take this down two different avenues. Number one, you need to know how to play your position. And in this case, you were the guy to facilitate that with her romantically or in bed, or you guys, right? You were the guy that she was sleeping with. That's your position. Don't try to overextend your position and make your position something that you're not. Okay? Because in this case, you were not the boyfriend, you're not the husband, you're not any of that. You were the guy who she was investing in romantically in the bedroom. That's it. That's first. That's the first thing you have to realize, is where she's categorizing you. Now, number two, you have to understand that sex means absolutely nothing nowadays. Now, number two, you have to realize and understand that if a woman sleeps with a man in the day that we live in today, that means absolutely nothing. She could wake up the next day and have zero emotional attachment to you. She could wake up the next day and say, oh yeah, that was even, good sex and he's really attractive, but I don't really care for his personality. Okay, so you just have to understand that we live in a different type of environment right now where it's like a formal relationship. Women don't even necessarily care if anything comes of that, because you have to understand a relationship, right, used to be formed somewhat out of need, right? Like a woman needed a man for specific things years and years and years ago when it came to protecting and providing. Nowadays, women don't need that. Right? So oftentimes what you're going to find is women will just optimize for who they find attractive and who they want to sleep with in that moment. Now, here's the thing. I understand that when you start to learn this stuff, it almost feels like you're literally learning a new language. Like when you're learning how to navigate your dating life in the dating game today, it literally almost feels like learning a new language. That is why I created the language of women, which is a step-by-step process to show you how to master all the pieces of the interaction. So all the pieces of the interaction I broke up into three specific parts. So there's front end, right? Front end game, how you act when you first meet the woman. Then I have mid game or middle game, right? This is how to navigate the first 1 to 3 dates. And then back end game, how to actually have the right dynamics, so that way if she decides to also pursue you for a relationship, something beautiful can form from that. I have an entire process to help you with this. And right now, I've now brought over 1,100 guys together to help them master this process and show them step by step how to do it. So I invite you to join us inside of that community, because we literally now have over 1,100 like-minded men who are learning, mastering, and understanding the language of women. And because of that, I'm watching these guys' dating lives change on a week-to-week basis. I'm watching these guys have more success. I'm watching these guys see and realize things that they did not know. And because of that, now that they have new information, right, they're able to make new decisions in their life. This is one of the statements that I always live by. New information, okay, if somebody gives you new information, it doesn't do anything for you unless you make a new decision with it. So new information, new decision. Now that they have obtained that new information, they can start to live a new life in different ways, okay? So they can make new decisions with their day-to-day habits and actions that will craft a different reality for them. So this is why I created this process. I invite you to join us inside of that. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.